Hi everyone, this is Sunette, and in this video we're continuing with stress and focusing on what is common within all forms of stress. What is the, shall we say, the common denominator that you can find, whether you are stressed because of work, whether you are stressed because of your responsibilities that you have at home with your family, whether you're stressed because of money, whether you're stressed because of, for example, developing a chronic stress due to a sudden death or illness of a family member. I mean, if you have a look at stress in itself, I mean, what is interesting though as well is even with the shall we say, the different things that could contribute to stress in your mind and body. Even though stress is stress, there will be a definitive difference to the experience of stress in your mind and body, depending on what causes it. So, in other words, it is like, for example, seeing a... let's say that you're seeing a metallic cylinder, all right, in front of you. Or just to maybe draw it here, you're just seeing like a metallic cylinder. And now let's say that what has happened in your life is an exceptional amount of stress at work. Now, work stress, meaning stress, let's say this particular cylinder represents stress in itself, right? But that stress is going to be embodied differently in your mind and your physical body, depending on what activates it. So let's say you have, for example, work stress. Work stress is, for example, responsibility related, time related, deadline related, things like that. So even with just saying it there, it sounds like, you're moving at more of a fast-paced speed, okay? So if that's causing you stress, this stress experience is going to resonate and vibrate like very, very, very fast inside your body, all right? Which is going to get your heart going, your body going, and it's going to get your general nature and experience of yourself is going to be like as though you're almost being electrocuted in a way. Now, let's say, for example, you've again got stress in itself, within yourself, and let's say there was a sudden unexpected death or illness in the family, and you've got all the family members to consider, to look after. You, for example, got money to consider, funeral plans, all those type of things. And because of the nature of the death or of the illness, it started with a shock, all right? So it was a massive shock to your system, which activated this stress. Now, the signature of the stress in your mind and body, for example, would be where the intensity almost feels like you are completely, you've been uprooted almost inside. So this particular stress will more make your body feel like your body's being compressed, like very tight, or where the stress is kind of feeling like it pushes you into like a claustrophobia inside yourself and then relaxes out, and pushes you in and relaxes out. Why would a shock stress have this effect? Because there would be moments where you're going to stress in relation to the family, the illness or the death. It's like that shock comes back again, and then it will release for a moment. And then the shock comes again, and then it releases for a moment. And that movement and motion of stress puts stress on your mind and your body. So it's interesting in having a look at these two examples. Your work stress is more of a constant type stress. Why? Because you're in your work environment for most of the day, so you can stay in it for a long time. Or in having a look at this example, you might not necessarily be in a constant state of stress, only when you are actually mentally or physically faced with your family or with the death or with the illness. then you'll stay in the stress. But then when you go out, you'll relax for a little bit. But the stress will also still be running in the background, but not as intense as when it comes to work stress. So why is this important to understand? Because you need to get to know your relationship to stress and what it does to your physical body to assist and support yourself most effectively to release yourself from it. But before we get there, the common thread that's existent in all forms of stress, why does stress activate in the first place? Why does the stress emotion, the stress program even exist? It's because you don't, within yourself, have a way to handle or deal with whatever it is that came into your life or happened to you. In other words, if you have a look at stress in a work situation, right? You can, for example, ask yourself, have you ever been educated in school or by parents or by friends or by anyone with how to mentally prepare yourself to work under pressure? Have you ever been educated in preparing yourself or being prepared for, how your mind and body might respond the moment that you're going to be under pressure? That you're not going to have enough space and time to get things done, where you're going to have deadlines and projects and tasks and people and emotions and things moving so fast. It's just going to feel like you're stuck in the middle of a storm and in a tornado. How to take a step back, tell almost your world and your reality to calm down, and then find a way that you can get everything done in time, and getting everything done in time where you take priority first, where you can make sure that you can walk space and time in your day or in your week to, effectively plan, prioritize, direct, and things like that. But if you have a look now at when, let's take the work situation, at the moment, it just feels like everything and everyone is just, hoarding on top of you in your body and in your mind. And it's like you're kind of walking through your reality like this and like just trying to protect yourself. And while you're doing that, you're trying to get everything done. And it's like, as you're trying to get the stuff done that's been piling up, new stuff comes in. And it's just way too much, to the point where the only thing you can eventually do is just collapse, break down on so many levels. The same with death. It's fascinating, that death is a constant. It is an inevitability for everyone to face, either personally, of course, or, with someone in your life. And yet, there's also not any real educational support in how to prevent, you becoming, for example, so emotional or, going to that shock and that stress to such an extent where it becomes detrimental to your mental and physical health. I mean, if you have someone close to you, for example, pass away, that's the last thing that they would have wanted for you. For you to now also compromise your mind, your body, your life, just because they passed and you did not know how to handle it. Okay, so if you have a look at what we'd like you to practically do for this video is have a look at what is causing stress in your life, and then come to that realization that, I'm becoming stressed because I didn't know and I do not know how to handle this. I don't have a solution. I don't have any practical or different ways of how I can approach the situation or the problem. I've just kind of been reacting to it all this time. So now I'd like you to become creative, okay? Creative meaning to sit down with yourself, have a look at whatever or whomsoever is creating a main stressor in your mind and body and in your life experience in general. And within that, ask yourself, okay, what can I do within me or within my life in some way or another to release myself and free myself from the stress? How can I change my relationship to the situation? Okay. Now, some might have things coming up, but I don't know how, or I've got no idea, or got no reference. But again, before you allow your thoughts to go into that direction, I have a question for you. Have you ever tried this before? Most of you would say, no, I have not. So therefore, give yourself this opportunity to see your inherent potential of being able to, in that moment of sitting with yourself and the problem at hand that's causing the stress, that you can sit in that moment and realize that you've actually had the solutions existent within you all this time. You've actually got more potential to sort out yourself and your life than you realize. All right, so enjoy, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.